Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Good to see you all there. Transfer deadline day, and you're here with me, hopefully, through the last hour of transfer deadline day, and then we'll discuss what's going on with Arsenal Football Club. We'll talk about all of the business that we've literally done and kind of really have a look at how Arsenal have done and kind of grade the team as well, and hopefully you guys will have some opinions um, on how we've done this winter. Damn lot better than last year, that's for sure. Somebody says, "Evening, mate. I can't see your name, so you have to sign the waiver at the top, and then I'll be able to see who it is." But yeah, good evening to you, mate. Late start today because we're winding down the hour of transfer deadline day. So, good evening to you, mate. Good evening to you. Now, let's have a look here and see where we are, and I'll pull up some. I'll pull up some ins and outs so we can cover that, and then we'll go straight into the big story of the day for us. We'll go straight into and talk about Jorginho, and I'm sure that you guys have got a lot of a lot to say about Jorginho and all the other players. So, and it'd be good to get you guys sort of ballpark, get your understanding, get your opinions, and see where we are. I mean, I've done some. I think I'll go to the forum on 101 and talk about that as well, and see where everybody is on the Jorginho signing. Everyone's talking about it. It's really weird. So yes, I'll get your thoughts and opinions on that, and then we'll kind of cover that off. So listen, Cam says also coming into a completely different team already. A couple of upsides from the Willian deal. Please don't compare it to Willian, man. we deserve better than people comparing it to Willian. I think somebody mentioned it today in the forum. It's a completely different move to Willian. 100% completely different to Willian. Willian was brought in here sort of past the sell by date to be a creator, because the season before he was the sixth best player in the league at creating chances. He came here and he just dialed it in. It was awful. In regards to what Willian was doing, Willian, what's going on, African Gona? In regards to what Willian was doing, Gary, you should have the link if you want to join, mate. Willian was brought in, and really, I remember one time we were staging his stats, and he had one shot in the last 12 games before he was benched. Can you imagine? How does a player have one shot on target in the 12 games? That's all about mindset, and Willian just didn't want to get involved. This isn't the same deal. This is more so a deal where you've been brought in to be a backup player on the bench and to give party relief. That's your job. And not just that, but he's got all kind of accolades to his name, very different from Willian. So, we'll talk about that. But I just want to say hello to African Guna. African Guna, what's going on, bro?
Good, good. It's a bit late for me, so I'm not sure how long I'll stay on, but definitely wanted to come on and have a chat and kind of close out the window and my feelings on on today. And I mean, maybe I can just start with, it was really nice to have kind of a peaceful last few hours, not even having to check Twitter or news or anything, because you just know that Arsenal had already done the business. And like, it would have been nice to get someone else in, but just comfortable that I feel the three signings we made this window have improved the team massively. We haven't overpaid for any one of them, which is great. And yeah, I think they all will play a pivotal role. I mean, Trossard already in his first game, impacted for that third goal against United, right? And I can see
Yeah.
Jorginho coming in straight away and making a through ball or the assist before the assist, and then people all of a sudden change their minds. What I was really disappointed with was the negativity today. And usually I'm quite negative. I want a superstar signing, et cetera, et cetera. I would have really liked Caicedo, but I honestly felt that after the second bid, we were already overpaying. I wasn't comfortable. Yes, I really wanted him, but I felt like we were being a bit foolish, going 85, 90 million for a 21-year-old that hasn't even played
Yeah.
a full season in the Premier League, right? I mean, the only way I see that being a good deal is if we actually win the league, because there's no way we ever sell him again for 90 million, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And even if he plays well in the next 2-3 years, I just didn't see how we would get that transfer fee back, right? So
Yeah.
I was kind of hesitant on that one, and I felt, look, Arsenal's already put 2 massive bids, which I thought was fair and reasonable. So I wasn't too upset.
Reasonable, bro. That was going above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Yeah, agreed.
Evening, guys.
So, evening, Gary.
Yes,
so
Gary.
yeah, no, I wasn't too fussed with missing out on him, and it was clear that it wasn't about the money; they just didn't want to sell, right? So then we move on to our other targets. There really isn't much in the market, right? So when you get linked to Jorginho, who's on a cheap, Arteta wanted him last season when we were in this exact same position before we got linked to Douglas Costa, etc. Douglas Luiz. Jorginho just makes sense. As you said, he's a backup player. He isn't one that's going to come in and be starting most games unless we get an injury, unless we need to rotate. He probably will start the Europa League games. That's where I see him getting most of his minutes. And then obviously rotating for Partey and Xhaka. So overall, I think it's a great deal. Super experienced. He's won everything.
Yeah, that's that South African internet there at the moment where we're starting to lose.
Very good footballing IQ, which will help in terms of the tactics and understanding what Arteta see him play. I'm hopeful that he's going to make an impact.
So Gary, welcome, Gary. No, yeah, you cut a little bit there, but you came back. We brought you back. Welcome, Gary. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, not too bad. Mate, yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing good. We're just about to run through our business on what we've actually been doing in the market, and it's been quite interesting for me. And I think when you consider that last year we went in for Vlahovic and ended up with nothing, and then this year we've actually brought in 3 decent players, and not only are they decent, but you'll be able to put them in the squad and let them add straight away. And then you've still got Nelson on the bench. You've still got Smith Rowe, Jesus coming back, Fabio Vieira, Rob Holding, although I don't know what they're going to do with this Jacob guy. He's going to be the guy who's going to obviously seam his way in. And I'd like to see him play in the midfield as well. But all of a sudden, it looks like we've got a squad. And not just that, but we've made Chelsea weaker in their weakest area as well, because they're a little bit like Liverpool in a way that they've got a lot of attacking players and then very limited in the midfield. So I really like where we are at the moment. Let me say hello to the guys. Good to see you, Stan. Big shout out to Canada in the house, baby. Good evening to you, man. G, haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, man. I hope you're doing well. He says, nice for 10 million. This was a steal. Jorginho, a very talented player that for some reason is really disliked. That's because he plays for a rival team. And he says, I believe he will be a success here. He is a better option than El Nene. Look how we spell El Nene. And Sambi. So it's a boost to our squad. He also says, yes, who's talking to Stan. He's saying Jorginho's now a red and every fan should be backing him, because if we are backing him and he is backing the club and fighting for us to win, what can, what's that? What can, that's good enough for me. Okay. Stan says, I'd rather have Jorginho than nothing, but those who are unhappy should be allowed to voice their opinions rather than being told to shut up, fall in line and show a blind spot. I think that is, but I think the negativity just comes from him being a rival, playing for a rival. That's really it's all about. Not just that, Stan, but I think some people are getting the Willian vibes, the Mikel Silvestre vibes.
I think that's got a lot. I think that's got a lot to do with it, Apollo. I think when we're looking at the David Luiz and the Willian deals, bringing these players that have been successful at other clubs into our club at the end of their sort of time, and some of them haven't worked out, or literally the majority of them haven't worked out, and people are looking at it and tarring it with the same brush.
Yeah.
Now, I was listen. I admit, when I was speaking earlier on, I wasn't overly pleased with it, but then reading the stats and stuff and seeing certain things, it started to really kind of like opened my eyes, and it's made a lot of sense, really.
Because there's some stats that have been put around where he's actually got better passing aptitude than Thomas Partey, and we've had some people
and Cecilo as well.
Yeah, that's right, and we've had some people just saying, "Oh, you know, see, this is where stats don't make sense." Well, actually, they do make sense, because when you consider he's been a part of Champions League winning, league title winning teams, when he's been, you know, won the Euros, then the stats pretty much make sense. They pretty much make sense. You wouldn't expect someone to have all those accolades to just be bad at playing football. And does that make sense? You know, La African Guna, did you see the stats? I'm not going to pull them up, but did you actually see the stats?
Yeah. I saw the stats, and again, you know, a lot of negative people just finding any reason to really bash it, regardless of what you show them. Really, it's just I use the word ungrateful, and might be harsh, but it does feel kind of ungrateful, because we've been in this situation so many times where we haven't signed anyone, and the fact that we actually signed someone, you know, and he's not the flashy signing that everyone wanted. I mean, I think people are overreacting, and I think it's just part of the nature of transfer news, especially, I mean, on Twitter, a bunch of millennials, right, as well. And I think a lot of the intellectuals, if you look at, you know, Lauren McKenna, some of, like, even non-Arsenal fans, but intellectuals, you know, that are talking on this deal, they all are saying, like Julian Lawrence, et cetera, you know, the top pundits, I would say, are claiming that this is a great deal for Arsenal, and it makes sense in so many ways. It's only the people who are reacting emotionally, right, and are not thinking logically, that are really bashing it. So 100% saw all the stats. I mean, interceptions is the key one. I think he had the most over Partey and Caicedo. So, and that's what we need, right? Everyone's talking about how slow he is. He doesn't have the pace. That's the exact same thing we said about Xhaka, and look at how Xhaka is playing this season, right? So what is there to say that Arteta is not going to be able to do that with Jorginho as well? So,
well, the biggest difference is Xhaka has never played well at the 6 ever, and he's a very good, competent player in the 8. And I think that when you look at Jorginho, he's had all of his accolades. Like, he's had a history of playing well in the Premier League at that position at the 6. So I think it's difficult to compare him to Xhaka, because I thought about that today, and I was like, but even, you know, who knows if we put Xhaka at the 6 again today, whether he'll be the same Xhaka before. And again, he's athletically challenged. Xhaka's in a position where he can use all of his offensive skills and none of his defensive skills. So it kind of puts Xhaka in a really good place. Whereas Jorginho has only ever really played in this position. So it's a good move.
Yeah, think about it, because now we can play Partey in the 8 if we really wanted to, play Jorginho in the 6, or play them together both, right? I mean, they could both play. I mean, previously, before, when we were defensively just a shambles, we would play 2 CDMs. It's only now that we have a system in place and stuff that, you know, we move Xhaka out of the defensive role and just let Partey do the one-man job. So I think he can, you know, play across the midfield for me. We can have a multitude of different combinations, which is exciting, right? I mean, just before today, if Xhaka or Partey get injured, we really have no one. We're forcing to put Odegaard or Vieira or Smith Rowe. We're like kind of forcing one of those pieces in that doesn't really match. So for me, I mean, even the price tag of 10 million, a year and a half.
That's a steal, man.
Yeah, it's a steal for me. And I hear Gary's point about, you know, all the previous Chelsea players.
Yeah, the price tag.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Gary's just frozen on me. We've got the Gremlins with us here tonight, guys. Everybody hit a like on the channel. Gary, you froze up on us, so have your say, bro.
Yeah,
Gary.
I don't think. I think he's gonna leave and come back, or maybe he can hear us now. But Apollo, my point was, and I think you mentioned it as well. Previously, when we signed these ex-players, we were hoping that they were first-team players that were going to come in straight into our starting 11 and play and make the impact. That's the difference this time. This guy's not supposed to come into our starting 11. He's just like he's just change on the side if we want to use it, and that's the great part about it. So, and honestly,
I think that's got a lot to do with what we saw them do at Chelsea.
Yeah. So I actually was going to play his interview here. It's only for 3.5 minutes, but we don't need to do that. Guys, the interview is already out on Arsenal's channel. He talks about his admiration for Arteta. He talks about his admiration for the team. He also talks about, and this is something funny, me, La African Guna, and Bertram warned everybody at the beginning of the season. A lot of people were saying, don't pay attention to preseason. It's only preseason. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. And if you watched what Arsenal was doing and how they were playing on the pitch, that's where the early guys like me, Bertram, the African Guna, we were able to see, guys, I've never seen a team play like this before. Forget the results. Forget the fact that it's preseason. I've just never seen the team play football like this before. So when the preseason happened,
I said exactly the same thing.
Yeah, after preseason, we were like, guys, I think we got something special here. What did we do? We went straight to Crystal Palace and blew them off the park at their place. And it's really not changed since then. They're playing the same way they did when they played in preseason. Yeah, they've actually got better. And Jorginho was asked in his interview on Arsenal's website, which is on there right now. He said, what did you think of Arsenal? Because obviously we played them in the league and we won and all that. He goes, forget the league. He said, when we played them in America and they lost 4-0 to us, he goes, and I was telling you guys, one of my friends was saying that Tuchel was blowing his top. He was screaming his head off in the chat. And you're thinking it's preseason, but we just embarrassed them, guys. It was an embarrassment. Like,
Gabriel Jesus that game really announced himself as an Arsenal player. He
did.
That game, he just dominated.
Well, he did. I mean, and as I said, it's never stopped. And to hear Jorginho talk about that and mention it just goes to show how bad it impacted those guys at Chelsea and how much it infused those guys at Arsenal, because they were just, even the players must have thought, wow, guys, we've really got something together here. So I really do. Anyway, go and check out the interview for yourselves, guys. But first of all, let's put up this little list that I've got here. And it really just tells us what we've been doing in the transfer window. I think we've had a very good window. I think we've had a decent window. Here we can see our ins is, I'll blow that up a little bit because it might be a little bit small for you guys. So our ins, obviously, is Trossard from Brighton, 27 million. Great business. I wasn't a fan of it because, I wanted Mudryk. You guys all know that. And for me, I just thought Trossard was another Arshavin. But the difference between this guy is his fitness levels is way higher than Arshavin. Arshavin, once he ran a couple of minutes, he was gassed, he was tired, and he hated training. This guy
he was always a little plump. He was always a little plump, Arshavin, wasn't he?
He was.
Look, we're not gonna lie.
Yeah, he wasn't the fittest guy.
A few sprints, and he had a couple of moves, but Trossard is 2-footed, right?
Yeah.
That is the most important part for me. He's so comfortable on both feet, and he's a finisher.
He's used to the Premier League, and he's used to the Premier League as well.
I think that was the most important thing for me. We had to, in the position that we was in, we had to bring in proven Premier League quality, and 2 of the 3 signings have got that.
Yeah,
and that could be key towards the end of the season.
Because it's not just 2 of the 3 signings. It's ever since we started with Ramsdale, Ben White. Arsenal never signed Premier League players. I mean, the last decade we haven't. And as soon as we start, I think as fans, we always say 5 years ago, why don't we sign someone from the Premier League? Why not? And there was always hefty prices, and we never wanted to pay because we were always stingy. And now all of a sudden, you pay 50 million for Ben White, you pay 35 million for Ramsdale, you buy Trossard, you buy Jorginho, and you have a really, really strong team that's experienced and has know-how in the league. And I think that's a small difference that some people might not pick up on.
So, guys,
I don't even think it's a small. I think it's a massive difference.
It is a massive difference. Also, there's Jakub Kivior from Spezia, 20 million. Great deal, guys. I mean, there was 7 teams in for this guy, and Arsenal took it upon their reins. Again, don't listen to what they say, look at what they do. And when you see him play, he's one of the biggest upcoming stars, I would say. And a lot that got underneath the radar. Some teams, a lot of teams actually were just keeping tabs on him because they wanted to wait until the summer to make an impact. they didn't know Spezia was willing to sign him off early, and that was because, you know, they're in a little bit of money problems as well. And Arsenal gave them a deal that really they could have got double that for him if they wanted to. And obviously, Jorginho, Chelsea, 12 million, and that's really what we're going to talk about. The outs, guys, is look, Harry Clark, Marquinhos, he's gone to Norwich, Rekic, Tony Smith. I mean, they're all literally loans for our and Miguel Aziz. They're all loans for our fringe academy players.
And Salah Ad-Din also got his loan terminated, and he got recalled back to Arsenal to recover from his injury. So that's
and of course the big one is Sambi has gone to play for Patrick Vieira at Crystal Palace. So and it couldn't have happened in a nicer place to a nicer guy as well. So big fan of his, as you guys know. The last 4 games he played, he had 2 man of the matches when he started. This was before after Xhaka's injury, before they rushed Xhaka back. So there's a good player in there, but I think moving him to the 8 was the right thing to do. I think for me, obviously Arteta and Vieira are going to have some conversations. It will be interesting to see where they play Sambi, whether Vieira plays him at the 8, which is where he played Gallagher, or whether he plays him in the middle of the park at the 6 or the 4. So keep tabs on that, and then that would be interesting. Let me get rid of this. So overall, guys, Jorginho scored 29 goals in 213 appearances for Chelsea, winning Champions League, Europa League, Super Cup as well, FIFA Club World Cup as well during his time at the club.
28 penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah. Harry Kane capped 46 times as well for the national team, and he was part of the side that beat England in the Euros as well. So, look, my opinion on him is this. My opinion is, let me put the tags up, shall I? Let's just put the tags up so people know what we're talking about. Jorginho. Right. My opinion on... Oh, God, go away. Why isn't this working? Right. My opinion on him is it's a priority signing, not a primary signing. A primary signing would be someone who fits into the first 11. This guy is a priority signing. When things are going wrong, if Partey gets a yellow card early in the game and teams are coming at him and it looks like in the 60 or 70 minutes that he's going to get a red, then you make the switch. If he gets a slight knock or it's a game that isn't important for us and he needs a rest, then this guy comes in. Because I've said this to you guys many times before. Look at the amount of games that Kevin De Bruyne starts for Man City. Look at the amount of games. 26 games per season, which means Pep rests him for 12 games. And if you looked across the board, Jesus, the most ever games he started in his 4 league title wins is 24. He never started any more than 24 games. So when you look at it, it's no wonder Man City are doing well because their squad is able to rotate, keep players fresh, yada, 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 yada. At Arsenal, because we don't have that level of rotation, we saw what happened at the back end of last year when we got gassed and there was nothing left in the tank. In those games against Newcastle, Spurs, and the running at the end, Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka, none of them had anything left in the tank. And the only players that were playing well, El Nene, again, man of the match against Man United, Nketiah, man of the match against Chelsea, where he scored 2 goals, Rob Holding, man of the match against West Ham, where he scored the winner. Most of the success was coming from the guys, the fringe players, the bench players who wasn't a part of the first 11. So what that told us at the back end of last year was that they just ran out of steam. And so this is really, for me, a masterstroke to get these guys able to make the squad stronger. I mean, right now, Trossard looks better than all of them. Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, this guy just looks like, I mean, he's only played 2 games and both of them, he was lights out. So yeah. So I'll give my say on Jorginho and I'll come to both of you guys. So for me, guys, he's a proven winner. He's smart. He's versatile. Good, excellent work rate, technique, great technique. I've seen the videos of his passing range, just absolutely fantastic. He captained Chelsea 15 times as well. And he's got the ability to keep possession, which is something that's key in our team with high percentage of passing. So I really do like that. apparently they're saying it won't affect the Caicedo or Declan Rice deals. Of course, it shouldn't. But he's the player that gives us help right now, and that's the reason why I like this deal. But given his patterns of play, and he can dictate the patterns of play in the midfield along with Zinchenko and Partey and Odegaard, I think this is a really, really good deal. And it's also, I believe, when I looked at the stat, he completed the most long balls in the European Championship with 67% long ball accuracy. That was the best in Europe. So that's a good stopgap. African Guno, what's your thoughts as a whole on Jorginho?
Yeah, I think covered a lot of it already, so I won't go too much into detail, but I think you highlighted a lot of the points. Specifically, you talked about last season when we needed cover. For me, there's two examples this season. Against Newcastle, when we couldn't bring anyone on in the second half to change the game because we had nothing on the bench. And then also against Man City when Partey gets injured and then you put Lokonga who doesn't defend and then we concede that goal. A bit harsh, but I mean, it's a sad reality, right? If we had someone stronger in there, we had the rotation for Partey, maybe that would have been a bit different. So yeah, for me, it's a great signing. I hope he doesn't take the penalties off of Saka because I'm enjoying Saka taking the penalties, but at the same time, he is a penalty specialist. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes, right? Because Saka is the star boy, but this guy's the experienced fellow, right? It's like if Pepe was here, I still think Pepe would be taking the pens over Saka. So yeah, really, really happy with the signing. I do think Arteta is going to use him more than people are expecting, regardless if we have injuries or not. I think something as well that you highlighted was the rotation when you get a yellow card. The perfect example for me was Ben White having the yellow card in the first half. And
against Spurs.
Against No, it was against Man City, wasn't it? Or was it against Spurs?
No, Man City.
It was City.
Well, he got all right. So yeah, so I thought he was talking about last season. I thought he was talking about last season when Rob Holding got sent off.
No. I'm talking about a few weeks ago when it was either Man City or the Spurs game, but Ben White had a yellow card, and before the second half started, we put Tomiyasu. You're muted.
It was Rob Holding got the yellow card.
No. It was when Ben White got subbed the other night, didn't he?
Yeah,
when he received the yellow card in the first half.
Exactly. I mean, if like last season we would not have been able to do that because we would have put Cedric, so we would have brought the whole level down. And here you're taking off Ben White for Tomiyasu. So it's going to be the same thing when Xhaka, comes back to himself. He makes that foul. He has the yellow card, and then we want to just change it up. I mean, we're going to have the opportunity to do so. So I'm really excited. There's nothing more I can say, really. I think it's a good deal.
Hantayumi says it was the United game.
Yeah,
it was the United game.
That's with Rashford running at him. That's right.
Exactly. That's right.
Gary, what's your overall opinion of Jorginho? Good business, bad news, deal or no deal?
I say in the beginning I wasn't overly impressed, to be perfectly honest. But obviously since sort of like sitting down and having a proper butcher's at things and reading some stats and I've come around and I think it's a really good signing. He brings bags of experience, which is what we're going to need in the next 20 games. Phil's avoiding the squad, someone that can actually play in Partey's position, that is actually a specialist, rather than trying to shoehorn Sambi in when he's clearly not a 6. So overall, I'm quite happy with it now, to be honest. I wasn't in the beginning, but I say I've read a few things and looked at a few things, and I think it makes really good sense. The price is right. Obviously, Arteta likes him, and you got to have faith with Arteta, with what he's done and the people because everyone said 50 million on Ben White, 32 million on Ramsdale. Everyone was sort of like pulling out their hair, weren't they? And they've all proved to be successful. So you can't knock the manager. You got to put your faith in him. And so I've come around. I'm a Jorginho fan.
Well, newsflash, guys. Chelsea has just reached an Enzo Fernandez agreement. What on earth is going on there? I did say to somebody before I come to Tony, I did say to someone yesterday who was asking me, when does this Chelsea end in spend? Because of the nature of how they're spreading the contracts over years, they also can fill that pot up as well. And that's actually more of a danger than doing it the old way. Because if you fill the pot up on your salary cap over 4 or 5 years, that means your spending is going to be extremely limited over that period, because you've literally it doesn't work like the salary cap. The salary cap in the NFL and NBA increase incrementally year on year. This is about your earnings, and most contracts are 4 or 5 years commercially, which means if you suck up the bulk of your incomings versus your outgoings, you're pretty much going to be in a stagnant place. Now, some might say Chelsea have bought players that's going to last them for the next 3 years, and yeah, I take your point, but it does mean you're literally going to be stifled, and not just you as a club, but these players are going to be stuck on 6-7 year contracts and just won't be able to go anywhere. You're stuck.
It's 8.5, by the way. The Enzo Fernandez 8.5 year contract. Like, that's
Wow, see what I mean?
But Chelsea, sorry, Chelsea wanted to pay 6 payments over 5 years, but Benfica got it down to 3 payments over 2 years.
Wow, that's just crazy, man. That's just crazy. Vincey, where are you, bro? I was gonna send you a text before the stream so that I could meet up. I didn't know whether it was gonna be available tonight. But evening to you and the missus. A big shout out to you. Cam says Trossard and Jorginho will add nice experience. Hopefully they'll push us to achieve something special this season. James is saying trust the process. Arteta knows what he's doing. 100%, my friend. 100%. And that, guys, is what it's all about. He's tried to get the guy in 2018. He's tried to sign him in 2021 as well. So, and it's funny, in the interview with Jorginho, he actually said that they tried to come in and get me twice before. And now I'm here. But the difference was, when we came to get him before, he would have been a primary player. Now, he would have been sort of front and center. Now he's just looking to facilitate, in the words of Tony Cox, bums on seats, which is, me and Tony had this conversation 2 weeks ago. Do you go big, or do you just start to fill and put bums on seats?
Well, not only that, Apollo, what Jorginho actually said was they came in for me previously a couple of times, and he actually said it wasn't for me not wanting to go.
Yeah,
there was other things that stopped it.
Yeah. Tony, Jorginho's now Arsenal player. What's your thoughts on him, mate?
I'm slightly underwhelmed, I'm afraid.
Says the guy who was just wanting to put bums on seats 2 weeks ago. Come on, man. You can't have it both ways, bro.
I do want it both ways. I'm greedy. I'm sorry. I am greedy.
So how is this a bad deal?
Wait, who did you want? Firstly, who did you want? Like, because you're upset about who did you want?
Let's get this right. You can have 2 things, yeah, and be happy, or you can have 2 things and not be happy. And I've got 2 things. I'm just underwhelmed. I'm not feeling.
I felt that way, Tone. I felt that way.
But you know what? You needed to put a bum on a seat, especially now that I don't get how you're letting Sambi Lokonga leave.
Yeah, no, I get that point.
I
thought that was strange. He does need to play.
Yeah, he does.
He needs to play in his position. But I found it strange when I saw, because obviously I saw the Jorginho thing come around first. And then when I finished work, I tapped my phone.
El Neni is out for 9 months.
Yeah. He's got, and his contract's over as well in the summer. So
they've extended it. They've extended it. They've extended it they've taken the option for the other year.
Yeah,
good.
No, not good, man.
Not good.
Come on. Get away from that.
I thought that was strange as well.
I like El Neni. I won't have a man say a bad thing about El Neni.
He can lift the title with us this year, and then you should have just gotten rid. We've given you what you deserve for a good professional.
He can't lift the title after Gugudu. He has to make 10 appearances to get a medal. He ain't getting no medal.
Stan says, I back Mikel, but the football gods have yet to again stepped in and saved him from destroying himself by breaking the bank on Mudryk. Mudryk was a deal that was never going to happen.
Just quickly before he carries on. So Tony, I hear your point, and a couple of things that came straight to my mind. The first one is Arteta doesn't rate him, right? So even if we kept him, I don't think he was going to play at all. Like, period. I think maybe this last game against Man City, where he was pretty much at fault for the goal, I think kind of might have been the last straw.
the second thing I want to say is this Kiwior guy and Ben White, I think they're going to be used as the backup midfielders, as like the DM on top of Jorginho. That's the only reason I can, or like, you know, the only thing I can think of why we would let Sambi go and not bring
Yeah,
someone
but
else in.
don't forget,
Just-
African Guna, Sambi is not a 6, he's an 8. So when you play him out of position, he doesn't play there. So I said to Tony when we was doing the Man City game that Sambi, if Partey was playing, that wouldn't have been a goal. He would have been there to nick that ball off of Ake. But you can't. Sambi gets so much stick, but he's not a 6, and he's a
No,
young
I
kid.
think
He's not a
maybe
6.
we're not, Gary, we're not seeing what's
100%.
happening in training, right? Maybe he isn't listening. Maybe there's some attitude stuff that is going on behind the scenes that, you know, maybe he's frustrated not playing, and he's, you know,
Yeah,
maybe
so-
he's
so-
not
so
able to
you're
absorb
both-
it, you know.
So you're both right. In the game against Man City, we saw Odegaard shouting at him because he was not in the right positions. So you're both right to an extent. My take on this, and this is probably the straw that broke the camel's back, is that we really don't have any League Cup games and we don't have any FA Cup games. So you don't have any games where you're going to really start to facilitate guys like Marquinhos, Sambi, you know, some of the young sort of players that you want to see play. You're just not going to get them. I mean, the only reason why probably Reece Nelson's not gone out on loan this month is for the same reason, because he's injured. And so for me, when you go back into Europe, straight away you're in the knockout stage. We don't play, remember, guys, in the last 16 because we qualify for the latter stage. So we miss out on the last 16 in the Europa League. And then we start to play in those knockouts afterwards. But every single game is important. And Sambi's he's going to go somewhere where he's going to play. You have to look at this. Look at the intel they've got on Balogun. Look at the intel they've got with Saliba. They want that intel with Sambi. They want Sambi to get a run, and they want to see him play. And then in the summer, when he's had 10 starts or whatever Vieira does with him, then we'll have a good sort of understanding of what he can actually bring to the Premier League itself and Arsenal. So it's a good move. It's a good move. I think it's a good move. Tony, finish off what you were saying, bro.
So yeah, I mean, I have, you know, as I was trying to explain, you know, you can have two things that diametrically oppose in terms of views, and you know, I can understand your joy at the fact that we filled the seat with a proven Premier League player. But I'm underwhelmed because I don't think you get many opportunities to win the league when you came 8th the season before.
So,
and if you have that chance at your disposal, I think you break the bank and go, I need a duel, and you know, you do what you need to do. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm jealous at Chelsea.
Really?
I'm
They're
jealous.
laughing. Everyone's laughing
Yeah,
at
I
them,
mean,
bro.
of course, as a
How's everyone
fan,
laughing
you
at
want
them,
your
bro?
team to
Because they're a
go by
mid-table
anyone.
team that spent $500 million.
Hang on.
You
But
think
bro,
Chelsea's going
Yeah,
to
but
win the
next
league?
season.
Bro,
No, next
have you
season,
not seen
Apollo.
what they've done in the January transfer window?
How
The
is that,
players that they
Tony?
brought in this January alone.
Tony, they got beaten the other week.
Oh,
Where are they?
come on, Apollo.
Hold on, Tony. What's their league position? Let's go and check out what their league position is.
No, but it's
Oh,
not about the
please.
short term, it's about the long term. Next season,
Yeah,
they're gonna
long
be
term for Chelsea
challenging-
is looking good. You know, but
Yeah,
all
they'll
them
be challenging-
No,
all them
it's not.
players
No.
have
Don't get
never
wrapped in by
played
that,
Premier
guys.
League
It's not
football. It's going to take them a
Right.
year to 18 months to settle in. You know, and then they're going to keep adding more and adding more and adding more. They're never going to have a settled team. You know,
Right.
Potter will
Yes.
end up getting the sack.
Okay, you guys are clearly
So-
not
so-
thinking the way. Let me just put the rationale behind why I'm jealous at Chelsea. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very simple. You have the chance to go and grab a jewel. Yeah, you can get a diamond, but instead you pick a cubic zirconia. Yeah, and it looks good. The missus is happy. She's like, "My God, you bought me this lovely jewel." But you know it's a cubic zirconia. Yeah? You missed out on the jewel. And that's my point, gentlemen. Quite simply, we went out and we got. I'm very happy with Leandro Trossard. Yeah, I'm very happy with that deal. So when I say I'm underwhelmed at our business in January for that piece of the window, that particular deal, I'm happy. But Jorginho does not overwhelm me with joy. It does not make me feel like this is a club that I've gone in and gone, you know what? We're going to give this guy the tools to go out and win the league this season. Because if heavens forbid Thomas Partey gets an injury, I'm sorry, I'm not convinced that Jorginho is the answer to the problem.
Yeah,
But would you have
you've
said
got
Casado was the
and
answer
now
to the
you
problem?
don't have El Neni, and now you don't have Sambi Lokonga. Your options
No,
are
but Tony, they were
basically
never gonna help us anyways. It's not like that made a difference to us.
you know what it is I feel Tony. I do feel
I feel
Tony,
him too.
and in many ways I agree with him. But the reality, and we always have to bring ourselves back down from to earth. The reality is that this is probably the hardest transfer window than the summer. People don't like doing business in January. Number one. Number two is clubs.
I can't understand. Sorry, can I
Number two.
pinpoint that particular point? Point one, people don't like to do business in January. I'm sorry, but if you look at Fabrizio Romano's timeline today, forget the rest of the month, forget the other 30 days. Just today, about 1 million deals have gone through of over about £1 billion of business.
Yeah, I know, Tony,
like,
but the consensus is every football agent I speak to, players don't like leaving, teams don't like selling. That's
absolute
the
rubbish.
Norm.
That is
okay.
absolute
So that's
rubbish.
your opinion. Let me try and remember what number two was. Number two.
Chelsea broke the market. They made
hold
all
on.
the prices inflated, irrespective of if Tony is right that you can, if you really want to buy, you can buy in
forgot my
January.
point.
Yeah,
Yes.
but Chelsea kind of ruined it all. And once they also, I think personally, once teams knew we had all that money, it was gonna be very hard to get really good deals because they knew we had cash, right? That's why Caicedo, they're like 90 million because they know that if we really wanted to, we would have put it up, right? I mean, we had
and you me is saying, Apollo, we had 2 whole months to prepare for this win, including World Cup. It doesn't matter. And this is what I've always tried to make Tony understand. You can have all the best intentions in the world, guys. It's business. And if people aren't selling, then there's nothing you can absolutely do about it. And that was my point too. My point two is...
But people are selling,
please don't stop me,
Apollo.
else I'm going to forget this, and then you can come in afterwards. Point two is, guys, this is not 2015 or 2010 or 2005. This is 2023. Do you think these clubs actually need money? Do you actually think that you put in 70 or 80 million up, that these guys don't need to sell players anymore? This isn't, everyone's got money now, guys.
Yeah, with the TV deal, that's right. That's right. Every club's on the same level, kind of.
That's correct. So do you think you can go in and bully these teams and take their players all day long? That's not where we are. Those days are gone, guys. Those days are
Chelsea
gone.
still did it, but yeah.
I think I can agree with Tony's point, because sometimes I would just like Arsenal to say, right, Mr. Tony Cox, we want you. That's the fee for him. There you go. Apollo, you're his agent. That's the fee. We want Tony Cox. We want him to be our number 9. Yeah. How much do you want for him? 60 million. Bang. There's 60 million. Let's get it done. End of story. But Arsenal don't do that. They'll go,
yes, that's
Apollo.
not Arsenal. That's not
No,
Arsenal.
But sometimes that's what I want to see them do. Sometimes that's what I want to see them do. I understand they go, right, we want Tony, but he's 60 million. Here's 40 million. Here's 45 million. Here's 47 million.
Gary, they've just bidded 75 million for a guy who's only had 26 games.
Forget that, Gary. Ramsdale.
But hold on. Sorry, one sec. But we saw this with Mudryk, and we saw it with Vlahovic, yeah, and we've now seen it with Caicedo. They throw these bids out there, knowing that they're not going to be accepted. Yeah, they playing a game.
That's the wrong.
No, I don't think that's right.
No.
I don't think they.
I think
I
they
don't
know.
I don't
They
think
know the value
that
of the
bid's not
player.
going to be accepted. I think that what they've done, and every pundit in the world will tell you this, is they've made a fair and
Yeah.
and at many times over the market
47,
evaluation of a deal. It's a
57.
fair deal.
Is
can I just-
Enzo Fernandez worth 120 million?
No, he isn't.
But
Okay,
that's
let
what
me- let me-
that's what the
let me
club wanted
just-
for him, and that's
let
what they
me
got.
just- Let me
Sorry,
just
go on,
make
Tony.
this plain. Let me just make this plain, yeah? Arsenal's transfer window in January 2023, the sum total of 59 million. Amazing. So we was about to spend 70 million on one player. We're going to end up with 59 spent, and I think we're recouping. What are we recouping?
Nothing pretty much. Just
Well, we
like
got 250 for Bellerin.
Bellerin, yeah.
Yeah,
Is
it doesn't
Cedric,
look like-
is Cedric a permanent? Is Cedric a permanent deal? We're
No,
making
that
loan.
deal fell
Loan.
through.
the loan. Okay,
Oh, it
so
fell
we're,
through?
we're
I
spending
didn't know it
we're
fell through.
spending 59 million. Chelsea in the January transfer window, where nobody can do business according to Apollo, where it's so hard to get players, have just bought 8 players for 300 million.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, 8
That-
players is a football team. They just
yeah, it
literally
is.
bought
But
in the
you can't-
January transfer when nobody does business. Nobody wants to move.
Yeah, but that's because Chelsea have gone out and just gone, right, Enzo Fernandez, we'll give you 105 million.
Hang on,
No,
wait,
we want
hang
120.
on.
There you go, 120.
Let me give you another name. Did João Cancelo just move team?
Yeah, to Bayern Munich.
Oh God! So what? Nobody's doing business in January.
That's a loan. That's a loan, though, isn't it?
But
yeah,
hey,
Loan
it's a
with
move.
option to buy, but yeah, for 7
It's a
mil,
move.
yeah, it is true. He was on 90k a week. I admire Tony's passion. I see a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, and that's the reason why. Look, these guys are working around the clock to get deals done. It's not down to them whether these deals gets done. There is the player; he has to be interested in wanting to come here, and then the other team have to be willing to sell. That's how football works. And if you do what Chelsea does, you go over and above of Call of Duty, then you get the deals done. Arsenal are not that team, guys. And not just that, but by doing that, there's a kickback effect on the market, because now every single team that has a young budding star, they're thinking to themselves, like Gakpo, they're thinking, hold on, we could have got 80, 90 million for Gakpo. Why did we sell him for 37 million?
Let me stop you right there.
Hmm.
Almost every team does that, with the exception of Arsenal, because we sold Guendouzi for £9 million.
Yeah, but that's because we were in the shambles. Moving forward, I don't see us doing any of those mistakes again. Every
We've
single
been
one
in the
of us-
shambles since David Dean left in the transfer market. We've been in the shambles since that guy left.
How do you sell Guendouzi for any money when you let go of Sanchez for free, you let go of Ozil for free, Mkhitaryan? I mean, the list goes on. We were just in such a mess. We just didn't have any leverage.
Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang, I can understand why they let them go for free, because their contracts were so big. They just wanted to get rid, but Guendouzi for 9 million, and now Vida was talking about buying him for 40 million.
Yeah, no,
You know,
agree.
it makes no sense how Arsenal run their transfer business. It really doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, Stan says Chelsea
I think
gazumped us
I
for
think
2
that's the
players.
plan.
So what
Yeah.
do? We line their pockets. We have no shame. They must have been someone else from from somewhere else. The reality is, guys, what Chelsea are doing, there are no guarantees. Alex Ferguson left Man United. They spent 820 million, and they have nowhere near winning the league. And
Can I ask a question, Apollo?
I've always said, out of that money, whatever money does, it can't buy you love. There's
Can
a
I
song
ask a
about
question?
it. Like to hear it. Here it goes. Yeah, it's just. There's no guarantees with spending all of that money in this climate that you would be successful if you spend that amount of money. It's astronomical. They spent $250 million last summer, and now they're kind of spent that again in January.
In the
That's
two windows, it's over
half a billion,
530
guys.
million.
But yeah, so I won't have anyone saying, yeah, they're going to win the league next year, because unfortunately the world doesn't work that way. It just doesn't.
Can I ask a
If it
question?
makes them competitive, then great. Yeah, go on, Tony.
So just give me your opinion. If you have a choice out of Jorginho and Marcel Sabitzer, Who you buying? Who you going with?
Sir, we wanted that guy 2 years ago, even.
No, hold on.
Yeah, I
He's
know,
asked.
I know,
He's asked the right question, but the real answer is, I want to bring in the guy who fits my system and who is available. Those are the two key aspects there. It's fine to say we want Savage. It's fine to say we want Nkunku. It's fine to say we want all these wonderful players, Casido. But whether they are available to come to us is a different thing. And that's why I'm trying to, the whole concept here, guys, is it takes 3 people to make a deal happen. It's not one person. It isn't Arsenal. You just don't go knock on the door and say, I'll take your house. It don't work like that. But with all the passion in the world, I feel Tony. I feel him. But you know what? I think we should be in a position where we actually should be congratulating Arsenal. Because ever since Josh Kroenke came in 2018 and took over from Stan, look how much money that we've spent. Look at our team now. Look at the investment that we've made, to the point where we were in the red and Arteta and Edu flew out after the World Cup to speak to have a meeting with Stan and Josh, and they gave them another 100 million. So where our team is now is in a completely different place it was 5 years ago.
So answer me this one. So we talked about the bums on seat scenario.
Yeah.
No, you
Arsenal
did.
That was you, Tony. That was you. Yeah.
Okay. Arsenal just got stronger by subtraction. You lost 2 midfielders and you gained 1. How does that work out, filling your bums on seats scenario?
Well, technically 2 didn't go out. 1 went out. 1 is injured. But I get your point.
Well, no, I like the fact you said technically, because the guy that we bought from Spezia, Jakub Kivior, plays defensive midfielder. So
yeah, he does.
So, I mean, look, we have to know, guys. We don't get paid to make the big decisions.
Does that Kivior deal really float your boat, my brother?
No, we don't even. I don't even know. Never even seen the guy play, Tony.
Yeah,
but,
I've never seen him play,
know,
Tony. So
they
have.
saying?
I haven't. Yeah, but this is where I'm saying that.
Like going, who?
But this is where I'm saying that you got to trust what Arteta's done, because he's built this.
Yeah, but
Tony,
that's
far,
what I was saying.
He's got it right. So far, he's built a team.
Tony's gone. Tony's gone. Come back, Tony. Come back.
You know,
yeah,
we're not talking about a guy who's bottom of the league or is mid-table. Go on.
Apollo, what I find really funny is that in all my times that I've known you guys, I would be exactly having the reaction that Tony has right now. That would be my reaction for the last 10 windows that we've covered together, or whatever it may be. The only difference this time is that I'm just so confident in this team. I'm so happy with this team that I want to be ambitious. I wanted us to sign that midfielder that he's saying we should have, but I'm trusting Arteta and Edu because of what I'm seeing. I can see it for myself. It's so obvious that what we're doing is right. And yes, maybe we could have gone the extra mile to guarantee the title this season, but I'm still confident that Jorginho is going to play a bigger role than, as I said, people are discrediting him for, you know. And hopefully Xhaka and Partey don't get injured, because if they don't and Jorginho is just there as planned to just be backup, no one's going to cry about it at the end of the year, right? So Tony, what I'm saying to Apollo is that... No, go for it, Gary.
I think that's a great point, African Good. I think we have to put so much faith in Arteta and what we've seen him do, because, like I said before, when he signed Ramsdale, everyone was like, "Oh, 32 million for that guy. He's been relegated 3 times." You know, "Oh, who's this guy? Who's this guy?" Everyone wants to get him out of our club, get him out of our club. But look what he's done, man. You know, no one was impressed with Ben White. Let's have it right. No one was impressed with 50 million.
Yeah,
I was.
You know, and everything he's done has proved to be correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to, you know, Jorginho, he may not be the fastest, but he's got a football brain. He can play. He can position himself to nick that ball. He doesn't have to have the speed of Usain Bolt to fit into this team. He can bring the knowledge and the brain power to the team.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing as well. I was thinking about something. A fan, when I was in Costco's the other day, a fan was saying to me, and this is Les, I'm talking about Les Thompson. Les said, he goes, you know something, he goes, ever since they changed his title and Arteta's become more involved in the day-to-day dealings. He goes, the squad has got better since then. He goes, a lot of this stuff that Edu was doing with Cedric and Mari and all of these Willian trying to get those Brazilian players in, David Luiz, and you see Arteta start to become more of a voice at the top level, more involved. He's not the decision maker by any means, but he has a voice at the table, and he was behind quite a few deals, especially the Jorginho. He's like Jorginho as a player. But ever since that has started to happen, look at what we're doing on the pitch. It's just like, if we can't be convinced, guys, of our league position right now, then how can you be convinced of this program? I won't say process, because that would just wind some of you lot up. It's working, and we have to trust that these guys are doing. Because, guys, sometimes I watch NFL locker room stuff and I hear what scouts talk about. And it's not just your ability. They want to see things like your leadership. They want to see what you're like in the locker room, what you're like when you're among players. You hear them stories of Man United teams where Teddy Sheringham and Dwight York never talked and all this stuff. You hear all these stories where players used to fight each other. Look at the fight that happened with at Leeds, or was it Newcastle? Oh, what was the guy's name? When Les Ferdinand was on the pitch.
Lee Bowyer,
yeah? You hear all these, and you
Lee
just
Bowyer
don't see...
and Kieran, what's his face?
Kieran Dyer, yeah? You just don't hear about these stories now. Why is that? It's because these scouts are looking for leaders. It's not just about your ability and your experience and all. There's a lot more things that goes into scouting players. And sometimes when I hear an Arsenal fan say, yeah, this player, why don't we get him? I'm like, well, maybe he don't suit us. Maybe he doesn't suit us. With all the ability that Pepe had, and believe me, guys, I swore, and I still to this day say that Pepe was the most talented player on our team. But he didn't, up here, it just didn't click. And Arteta knew that. And
he just couldn't handle the Premier League. He couldn't handle the Premier League. That's all
I think he could. But I didn't think that he could handle was Arteta's system. I just don't think he could handle the system, and he didn't stick around for long. And it's more than your ability, and that's kind of what my message is to all of you guys in terms of the transfer market. And why isn't this player being looked at? Why isn't that player being looked at? Because I think that they know, guys. They know exactly who they want, and they know the makeup of the player. They know what he'll bring to the locker room. They know all of that, and what they're building is the example we see at the top of the league right now, where Arsenal sit 5 points clear.
Yeah.
So
there's some interesting things in the chat, Apollo. I was just looking in the chat.
Yeah, read them out. Which one you read? You want to read out?
I was reading. So Stan the Man. I remember when folk got vexed because we signed Odegaard and not Buendia.
Yeah, I remember that. And for 6 months, I was telling everybody how great Odegaard was. I even had the stats to back it up, and the man then still weren't. They still weren't having it.
Yeah, listen here. The Odegaard that we're seeing today is not the same Odegaard that we loaned. It's like he's like 5 times higher level. Yeah. I mean, you can't compare, right? At the time,
I can't. No, hold on. I can compare. The reason for that is because, and I'll go back to Mesut Ozil. Yeah, when Mesut Ozil first came here, and I saw some of the games he played, I turned around and I said to you guys, these guys are just not on his level. He's come from playing with Real Madrid, where everybody knew what was going on. You had a team that was just balanced in excellence, and then he comes to Arsenal, where you got Mustafi, you got Kolasinac, you got pure damn foolery. You had old Xhaka. You just had pure damn foolery, and then it's not the same. Ozil is like the cherry on the top. When you make a cake and you put the last piece of the cake on, there's the cherry. Doesn't the cake look nice? Yeah. He isn't a guy that's going to go and change it. And when Odegaard came here, there was a couple of games I saw, and I said to you guys, look at this guy's level. It's no wonder he's a Real Madrid player. This guy, he sees things before they happen. It's just he's looking to hit balls in where players are not even making runs. I'm just like, this guy's on a different level. But what it does is it's taken time for us to build that team around him. Now, he looks like he's a great player, but he's always been a great player. It's just the supporting cast around him has just kicked it up a notch. That's what
He-
happens,
he's
man.
elevated his shooting by quite a bit. He's taking
Yeah.
way more ownership of shooting, which he
Yeah.
didn't before. And also, I agree. I think he wasn't doing it against the bigger teams, before, which was kind of the criticism, and now he's doing it against every team, and that's what we
And I
wanted.
agree. And guys, and what the African Guna is saying there is that you've got this innate talent, and that you're just blooming it. You're blooming the talent. When Martinelli first came here, and I always talk to you guys about this story. When he first came here, I said that Martinelli and Haaland, by the way, 19 years old, both of them both scored 10 goals in their first season. I said these guys are going to blow up. These two are going to be the best strikers in the next 5 years. Just wait and see. The next season, Haaland went in to score 37 goals. Martinelli was injured for the whole season. And it's just shows you the difference between what happens in someone's career and how it holds them back and things like that. My point is this, though, is that Martinelli is a completely different player than when he was running around like the Tasmanian devil, like the headless chicken. You look at his game now, totally different player. And that's the reason why, when we talk about some of these players, that they're in this development process. And Odegaard, I think, has gone through that as well. He's been coached by the same guy who coached, all them great Man City, Kevin De Bruyne, Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling, all these guys, Jesus as well, when he was there. They're all talking about what Arteta has done to change their game. And that's the reason why I think that not only are they excelling, but they're growing into men now, and they're improving in all areas. And I just think it scares Pep. I think Pep is scared shitless of Arteta. He really is, because he knows what he can do. He helped him transform his Man United and City team as well. So
Coaching and tactics. For me, if I look at Martinelli, you're right. I mean, he still has all the enthusiasm and energy that he did when he first joined, but now it's all calculated. It's all tactical. It's all planned, and he's just much more aware of what to do and when to do it. And he's still just as devastating, but with the extra coaching and tactics, it's just become unplayable.
So, guys, listen. The transfer window is officially closed. It's 3 minutes past 11 here in the UK. So that is it, guys. The time for us to grade the transfer window. We came into this transfer window looking to put bums on seats. We have shown ambition. Yeah, we have shown ambition. There ain't two no's about that. We've shown ambition. We've gone for some big targets. Quite frankly, we've gone for some.
Don't despair.
No. Listen, Tony's got a voice. He's got an opinion, and we all respect that. But they've gone in and they've tried to get some talent, which, quite frankly, Mudryk, Caicedo, two very young, special, unproven. Yeah, they're not there yet. Over the hill in terms of evaluation. It worked with Chelsea, and we know why. They wanted that extra money to put towards a Ukraine war effort. So, look, when I heard that, all fair to the power with them. Yeah, fair play to them. But I think in regards to Caicedo, it was getting into silly land now. It's like a whole group of players. I saw 4 sports writers along with David Ornstein all sitting around the table thinking, what on earth is going on? This guy is so inexperienced, but he's got more international caps than league caps. Imagine that. 28 games for Ecuador and 26 games for Brighton. That's how inexperienced this guy is. But he's got the tools. And Bertrand made me laugh because Bertrand was saying, all the guy can do is tackle. We ain't seen him do anything else much because he's a tackling beast. I see this guy tackle from behind, from the side. He's got that down. And not just that, but if you understand how NFL works, the safety is your last man of defense. You have to have, as a midfielder, you've got to have range. You've got to have vision and range, because that's why you have the ability to see an attack before it develops, and then have the ability to get over there to cut it out. And he has that. He's going to be a special player. But the question now is do we go back in for him in the summer, or do we go in for Declan Rice? That's going to be the thing right now.
Both.
You know, and then the Jude.
Arsenal will say they're going for both, but they'll end up with one of them.
Maybe, but I think it's got to the point where you have to look at areas where you need to strengthen. We have double choices at left back, right back. We have now 4 centre backs. We have 2 goalkeepers. So the midfield is the issue. The midfield is. I think they're going to continue to hammer that down before you even see, an attacking player. They probably will go for another attacking player. But I think the priority in the summer is definitely going to be in the middle of the park. But overall, guys, I think this transfer window, I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it a C plus. I'm close to a B minus, but I'm going to give it a C plus. And the reason for that is I love the Trossard deal. I'm surprised that wasn't their priority A, because the thing about Mudryk is, and we saw him play against Liverpool, and there were times where he looked really special, and there were times where you're like, what the hell was that all about? And then you see Trossard, and everyone in his first 2 games at Arsenal has got nothing but good things to say about Trossard. Just absolutely looks like an Arsenal player. So, and he's in his prime. Got nothing to do with being unproven or anything like that. He just turned 28 last month. So he's got years and years and years of where he can, fully adapt to help us be an Arsenal player. So I really do like the deal. I like the young kid from Spezia, Kiviar. I like him, but I want to see him play. I don't know enough about him. I want to see him play. And then obviously the last one, which is Jorginho. I think Jorginho was smart business. I think it was smart business. I think that he'll help this team. Yeah, and that's help that we didn't have last season. Last season, when we lost Thomas Partey, guys, the wheels fell off. Forget Tierney, Tomiyasu, and when we lost Ben White, forget all of that. When we lost Partey, guys, the wheels fell off. You knew that from the second half against Man City last week. When he came off the pitch, you knew that. So we're just going to have to wait to see how this develops. But I trust that these guys, Edu and Arteta, knew what they were doing. And guys, look, let's understand, it was a plan B. Yeah. So I'm going to give this window a C plus. Let African Guna, what do you give this window? What's your grade?
7 out of 10, to be honest. I think agree with the Trossard reflection. Could have been our plan A, considering the price, considering the situation, considering the experience. Because I didn't really want someone to come in and displace Martinelli. Yes, I want competition, but Martinelli's my star boy from day one. So I didn't really want someone like Mudryk to come in and just take over his place and cut down his game time. So I'm actually much happier with the Trossard. And as you said, I mean, Mudryk against Liverpool, I mean, some of his first touches were just terrible. I mean, he just kicked it like he was like Usain Bolt trying to play soccer, really. And I think he's also being charged by the FA for saying some racial slurs in a TikTok. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I saw that today.
Brought upon by Arsenal fans or not, but anyways, just a side note on that one. In terms of the Kiwior deal, I mean, came out of the blue, didn't think we needed him, so it's a plus for me. Think he covers Gabriel, and it's probably business we would have had to have done in the summer, which we've done now, and for a really good price. So that's a great deal for me. As you said, Apollo, really looking forward to seeing him play more with Saliba. That would be really interesting, or Holding, whichever it is in the Europa League. Hopefully he does get some good game time. And I think the only, I guess, deal that we could have done better on was the Jorginho deal, which I explained is not a bad deal. Yes, that's the one that we were expecting, kind of the superstar player or the earmark player to come in and kind of give that signal that we are going for the title. But I think we're still stronger than we are before we started. And I'm still confident that Jorginho is going to be a better player than Willian was, David Luiz was, Peter Cech, Ben Ayoun. I mean, he's the 5th player. I mean, we need to get at least 1 out of the 5, that end up turning good. And look at Tony, but it's true, Tony. When the cards are down, right, and we need to bring someone on, like we're gonna bring him on in the 60th minute.
When are you gonna wake up and smell the coffee? Do you not know what Chelsea are doing?
Come on, man! Like there was not much other option. There wasn't much other option. What else were we gonna do? The only thing is, I would say Tielemans
We could have gone, or we could have tried to loan Frank Kessie from Barca. Those were my other two options. But at the end of the day, Arteta wanted him. Not only now, he wanted him 2
Yeah.
years ago.
He wanted
So,
him
like,
long time ago. Yeah.
come on, like he knows what he knows what he's doing. We can
Yeah,
look what
but
he did
listen,
with
but
look what he did with Xhaka. Like, how
but
am I
let's
gonna question it?
but let's not get it twisted, guys. He is not a primary player. He's a
Yes,
priority in terms of
priority.
for the
And
bench.
I like
Yeah.
that differentiation, Apollo, because I
Yeah.
totally agree. He's a backup player. He's not
Yeah.
going to be coming in starting.
Yeah.
Right?
People are talking
So,
about him like he's
Wait,
Declan Rice and he's
let
going
me
to come
say
in and
this to
start.
Tony, look at me when I speak to you. He's better than El Neni. Let's be real. He's better than El Neni. So look,
Yeah.
we'll take.
You're
the
talking
best
about a
of
Ballon d'Or
sometimes.
contender, guys. Let's
He finished
let's
third.
understand. Yeah,
He
yeah.
finished
you're talk-
third in the Ballon d'Or.
Exactly. Right. So you're not talking. You're not trying your best to dog this deal out, and that
I'm
might
not.
be.
I'm not. I
Yeah.
understand where Tony's coming from, but I'm appreciative of it that we actually got it done. Irrespective, we could have just said, "Oh, there wasn't anything in the market," and not signed anyone like we did last January.
Well, that's what I
And
thought was going to happen.
yeah. That's why I'm not too upset by it, to be honest.
So, guys, I've got to before I go to Tony and Gary. The scores are coming in from the guys. Guys, if you haven't sent your grade for the transfer window, please send it through. I said a C plus. African Guna's gone 7 out of 10, so it's kind of like, what is that?
B minus, yeah.
Yeah.
B minus, yeah.
G has gone for a 7.5 out of 10. Cam's gone for a B. You guys are all over the place. Let's keep it one way. David Thomas has gone for a C plus. So it kind of, I think we're all around the B. We're all around the B minus C plus.
Yeah.
Bertram, good of you to join us. Why don't you come on, Bertram? Because you finished work now. It would be good to hear your thoughts on the transfer window. Bertram says overall grade is a B plus for Trossard and a C plus for Jorginho. What would you give it overall, Bertram?
Yeah, he said overall grade is B, and then he just forgot to mention Kiwior, but because he's probably not going to play.
Alfie says if Tony hasn't learned to trust Arteta, then let him be. It's funny. David says, should we have recalled Balogun? That's a definite no. Because he just wouldn't have. Yeah, I mean, Jesus is back in 3 weeks. Balogun ain't going to play ahead of Eddie. And again, we're not in the League Cup and FA Cup, so this is why Sambi's been sent out on loan, because they're not going to play here. That's why Marquinhos is gone, because they're not going to play. So, and Balogun, look at what the first half of the season has done for him. Amazing. If he carries on in this form, he's going to win what Saliba won last year. He's going to win Young Player of the Year, and I want him to. So I don't want anything to get in the way of his development. So I don't think. Do any of you guys think he should be recalled?
No.
No, definitely not. If he was a midfielder, I would have considered it, obviously, but he's a striker, so no.
Hey, we did that with Maitland-Niles last January. We sent him off and we needed him. Bertrand says Tielemans not good enough. Kessie would have been a decent shout, but Barca wouldn't sell. Yeah, 100% on Kessie. Tielemans is something different, though. Guys, what you have to... I did talk to Colin this morning. The feeling behind Tielemans was that you want a 6 or a 4. He ain't that. He's an 8. And I think for Edu, he had to sort of understand for himself that I've got so many guys who can play the 8. I've got Smith Rowe, I've got Fabio Vieira, I've got Xhaka there already. Trossard can play there. We've already mentioned 4 guys, and we're not even talking about Zinchenko. Zinchenko, whatever happens, Zinchenko could come into the midfield. Tierney goes left back, and then it's just not. The Tielemans deal doesn't make sense, guys. What we need is a 4 and a 6. So, and they are convinced that Tielemans can't play there at the 6, and that's why the deal's not done. And Yumi says Chelsea are buying quality players, and quality players produce quality. They do, but then you have to have the manager to bring out that talent. I mean, look what Brighton have done without Graham Potter. Yeah. Graham Potter at the moment.
They got better.
Yeah, exactly. They've looked better. Graham Potter, from what I've seen him do at Chelsea, he's not. What's Tony's term? Pulling up trees or something. Yeah, he's not. He's not. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, I mean, right now all I'm saying to you guys, be wary that teams who go out there and spend a lot of money doesn't guarantee them winning anything. So we'll have this conversation in the next probably 18 months and see where Chelsea are for next season. Alfie has given the transfer window a B. David says just a bit worried about by Gabs. Is that Gabriel Jesus or Gabriel Martinelli?
Martinelli, I think.
Yeah. Which one is that, David? Which one is that? Alfie says cash out on him when he's back. And Bertram says we should have recalled Balogun and loaned him to a Premier League team. Didn't he already play for Middlesbrough? No, I think where he is good, man. I mean, he's going to have summer to prove to us that he's improved as a player. Tony, what's your grade for the transfer window?
Okay, so as I was alluding to, if you take out what you've let out, and you consider what you've brought in, add in there the injury to El Neni, you've actually subtracted your bums on seats.
Oh,
so you know, I have to put the faith, like everybody has said, I have to put the faith in Arteta and hope that what he's done is sufficient. Yeah, I pulled up another picture for you, another breakdown of the business that we've done, and I just have to hope that we have the most fortuitous February that there could possibly be, because here's what's happening. Eddie Nketiah has to play 90 minutes of every game in February, pretty much.
Well, they've said, Arteta said after Man City that they've got Trossard who can play there as well, which he did with Brighton. When Danny Welbeck got injured, that's on the basis that Martinelli is flying up and down that left wing and not having bad games or poor games. I'm not saying he's ever had a bad game, but he's had games where he's not been on top form. And Trossard has come in and looked like dynamite instead of Martinelli. So right now, Martinelli's having a great season. 7 goals or 8 goals, a number of assists. He's having a great season. But of recent, a couple of games, he's not looked the greatest. Yeah? And that is why when you look at this breakdown of where people play and their cover, yeah, Martinelli could potentially cover Eddie. But the way he's playing, I wouldn't trust it. Trossard could also cover Eddie, but if he has to cover Martinelli, who's covering Eddie? So that is why I have to say, I have to hope and pray that February, Eddie Nketiah has a great month, doesn't sustain an injury, and we can come and hopefully see in March when Jesus comebacks our numbers back to where they need to be in terms of striking options. And let's not forget, Bukayo Saka on the right-hand side, yeah? He's also going to be in need of rest from time to time. So I hope that Nelson comes back and is able to provide the cover needed that Bukayo Saka will definitely need. Yeah, he's fit
I
this
think
week.
Saka needs that already, doesn't he?
Who was at the game with me when we were talking to Reece Nelson? It was Lewis. Lewis was with me when we talked to Reece. Yeah, Reece is back this week. He's back this week. But back in training, that is, guys. Back in training.
Yeah. In terms of and I have to be honest, I'm not impressed by the Kivior deal. I am super not impressed. But
he ain't played yet.
Hang on, it's not a position of deep problems because we already have Ben White, Tomiyasu, and Holding who can all play centre back. So it's not a problem. I'm happy that you've got an extra number to fill a bum on a seat. But it's not a deal where I go, oh, I've seen this guy and I know what he's like. And I tell you what, in 2 years, he's going to be challenging Gabriel for a left-sided centre-back role. I don't know that yet. And nobody here has convinced me otherwise. Because nobody here has turned around and gone, oh, my God, have you seen this Kiwior kid? He's phenomenal. Yeah? So that deal there is underwhelming.
It's not underwhelming. We don't know. Yeah, we have to see him play.
It's underwhelming, Apollo, because it doesn't impress me.
Okay, that's fair. And I look.
Yeah. So for you, if it
that's
if it
fair.
floats
That's
your
fair.
boat,
I'm
it
not
gives
saying
you
it
a hard
impresses
on,
me either,
great.
Tony.
But for me,
yeah,
it's
I'm not saying it
underwhelming.
impresses me. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's a deal that makes you happy, I'm fine with that.
No,
For
it's
me,
not. What I'm
it's just a
saying,
bum
I'm not saying it makes me happy, and I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is, you're saying it, it doesn't impress you. Right, fair enough, fine. I'm saying wait till you see the guy play.
Well, he ain't gonna play, is he? Let's be honest.
How do you know
How
that?
do you know that? How do you know?
How do you know he's not going to play?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because Tomiyasu can play left-sided centre-back.
Yeah, but why are you going to play a right foot on the left side if you've already got a left footer that can play that?
Yeah. My point is this, Tony. When you're saying exactly what people said about Martinelli when he first came here, who on earth is he? Nobody had seen him play. And then we all said, didn't we? We all said, let's wait till we see the kid play. And once he played, it was like, wow. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see this guy play. Let's see him play.
You know what? Fine. As I said, you're asking me to judge a player for the future based on the fact that nobody in this room has seen this kid play.
No, we haven't.
So it's got to be underwhelming for me, but it's going to be a hard on for you. Great, pleased. Right?
Yeah. And that's the reason why. And that's the reason why I'm at C+.
This is my sport. Let me finish.
Yeah.
This is my opinion. My subjective view of this transfer window is you brought Kiwior. It doesn't impress me. You brought Trossard. It's a great buy. I'm super impressed by that bit of business. So there's a middle player, Jorginho, and that to me is the one that makes it either a C+ or C-. Yeah, Jorginho's that bit of business for me. It ain't floating my boat. I'm sorry.
So you'd rather him not come to.
Boat,
so you'd know that. Yeah, because I'm C+. So I like the deal. I like the deal.
So
I'm
you
C+
like the deal. I'm underwhelmed, and therefore it's C- for me. But
so
I hope the guy comes in, and I hope he fits, and I hope when necessary, if necessary, he does a great job for us. But my track history with Chelsea players coming to Arsenal is effing rubbish. Because we ain't never had a good player come from Chelsea.
So I think that the African Guna asked you a question before in terms of what would you have done? What would you have done in a situation where no team was going to do business with you for the targets that you wanted? You've got 24 hours left on the clock. What do you do? What would you have done? Because you told me 2 weeks ago you'd put bums on seats, and that's exactly what we've done. So I just want to know. Yeah,
you're pretending that no other business has been conducted in the month of January, and no other midfielders have moved in the month of January, and no other club would potentially let their diamond midfielder move if you threw the checkbook at them.
No, but Tony, we're giving you the power. We're not disputing
what would you have done, Tony? That's what I'm saying.
What would you have done? Exactly.
Okay, so I've said it and I'll say it again. You have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take the league title when you were 8th last season, and you needed to bring in a diamond. You didn't need a cubic zirconia. You needed a diamond. Throw the freaking checkbook at the diamond.
Oh, so yeah.
Yeah,
so
but they didn't want to sell. It doesn't matter how much we offer.
No. I can agree with Tony's point. Tony's point.
He's basically saying throw 100 million at Brighton.
You are mad if you're saying nobody's going to sell. I'm sorry. Are you going to tell me you wouldn't have got Enzo Fernandez in after the World Cup that he just had?
Oh, yeah. We would have had to compete with Chelsea for that, though, and paid ridiculous.
Pay your bloody money!
No, Chelsea would have probably paid more. If you getting into a bidding war with Chelsea, man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but they robbed us of Mudryk. Yeah, because they big.
No, we allowed them to rob. We allowed them to rob us of Mudryk.
Yeah.
We
You know
allowed it.
what? We
No, but
deserve
we
to
were
give them some
sensible. We
payback.
were realistic. We didn't want to pay all that money for.
Pay the
we
damn
up-
money.
No, no, no.
Yeah, but
Tony,
hold
we
on,
offered
African
to pay
Gooner,
for
African
Mao.
Gooner. If you pay the money and Mudryk comes in
It wasn't
and
about
has
the money.
10
We
assists and
offered the
scores
same amount
11
of
goals,
money. It was the structure of the
who cares
deal.
about the money?
We are
Yeah.
smart. We don't just go and give you like 30 million of guaranteed add-ons when a player hasn't even
Thank
played
you.
in the Premier League.
100%. Guys,
get
I
it.
see
listen, we're
both.
talking about the real
I
world
see both
here.
points of view.
Yeah,
I
it's
see
the
both
real
points of view.
Yeah.
I see
Dude,
both points
you're
of view.
deluded. Dude, you're deluded. Manchester City have dominated the English football league for the last 5 years on the basis that they threw the flicking checkbook at teams.
Yeah, no, I don't
Yeah,
disagree
they're
with
not
you.
doing
How are
that
you
now.
It
going
has
to
to have-
compete?
No, Tony,
You
but it has
literally
to have
have them on
some
a
it has to have
5-point
No, no, no.
disadvantage.
Tony,
against
Tony, you're
them.
wrong.
Throw money for the
Sorry.
sake of throwing money. It's not how it works.
Tony, you're wrong there because you can compete with City without throwing the checkbook at them because we've proved that so far this season.
Liverpool proved it.
Well, Liverpool threw
proved
the
it.
checkbook
We spent
around
some money.
a certain
Who?
amount, but
Who did they? They only bought Van Dijk for 75 million. They
No,
bought Salah. They bought Salah, Mane, and Firmino for 30-odd million each.
How
They
many
never threw no
strikers
checkbook.
have they got, my friend?
That's how they won the Champions League and the Premier League.
How many
with those
strikers have
players.
they got, my friend?
Who?
Jota
Liverpool.
and
They
Firmino
bought Firmino.
How many strikers
32
have
million.
they got, my
and
friend?
Darwin Nunes. They have
I
three.
just
They have
answered your
three.
question. They got
Yeah,
they
three.
bought
they
them
paid
3
85
players.
for Nunes.
Yo, they
How
bought
many
them 3
strikers,
players for
my
the same
friend,
price that
do
Chelsea
they
paid
have?
for Lukaku, and they ended up winning a league.
Strikers
Yeah.
or attacking players?
No. I just proved this in a nutshell. Yeah, Mudryk, they paid all this money. They bought Lukaku for 100 million. Liverpool spent less than that on Firmino, Salah, and Mane, and won the Champions League and the title. Done. It just
Nah,
it
I
don't
get
work.
Tony's point.
Just
though,
because you
but-
can doesn't mean you should, bro.
no, but
I
get
have
Tony's
I have
point.
one foot in Tony's camp and one foot in the other camp, which says let's be sensible, let's do it the right way.
I'm
But
sensible,
sometimes
so
I
you
just
ain't
want to see
never
them
gonna
load
get
the
me
gun,
Yeah,
fire the
you're never
gun,
gonna get me
and
agreeing
done.
to that craziness, man. I'm no way. Teams are literally like I said today. I was watching 4 analysts, including David Olsen, sitting around the table. They're all looking at each other and it's like, how much for Casino? Like, where is that going? And Brighton. The thing is, they were looking at Brighton, saying Brighton are crazy because this guy
Yeah,
ain't worth
100%.
half that amount of money. And
Yeah,
you
true.
got a player like that you can get 75 million from. You must be nuts.
He was 5 million last year. So, I mean, they were making a 70 mil profit. But I hear you, Tony. You're saying go in with the 100 mil. I would have liked that too. But I even at 75 million, I was telling Apollo I felt stupid that we were overpaying. But I get you. I get your point. I also would have liked us to pay the 100 million and just gotten him in. But we don't know if that really would have, been the solution for us.
I've got a question. I've got a question. I've got a question for Tony. So, Tony, is your theory based on the fact that we're top of the league? If we were sitting in 5th and had the chart and we were talking about only making top 4, would you still be saying the same thing?
No.
Let's go out and let's throw the
No.
checkbook at this guy to get top 4? Or is it
No,
purely
that's-
based on the fact that we have a chance to win the league?
That is a brilliant question, Gary. That is the crux of the matter. That is a brilliant question. The crux of the matter is, if we was challenging for 4th place and we needed a diamond, and the diamond cost 100 million, I'm saying, nah, trust in the process. But when you're going for the league title, and I've said this before, if Arsenal win the league, every player on the planet becomes part of our potential buy for the summer. Because we could walk to Jude Bellingham and go, hang on a second, Jude. You know you were talking to Liverpool, right? Well, guess who's the league champions right now? Yeah? Bun Declan Rice. We're talking to Jude Bellingham next in the summer.
Yeah, you know what makes me
we're the
laugh,
league
Tony?
champions. Yeah?
Tony, you know what makes me laugh? Liverpool, just because they talked to him first, are all thinking we ain't gonna get Jude. But Jude, you go to the forums, Liverpool fans, we ain't getting Jude Bellingham this time. Let's see what Chelsea says. Yeah, Let's see what happens when Chelsea get. Because right now, this team they're killing football. And unfortunately, if you thought the January window was frustrating, wait till the summer comes. Because this is just the starters, bro. You ain't seen the main course yet. When the summer comes.
Like I said, Chelsea will just keep buying and buying and buying. They'll never ever settle team. Every person that they're buying, if they haven't got Premier League experience, are going to have to settle into the league, which is going to take sometimes 6 months to 18 months for a player to settle. No, very rarely does a player like hit the ground running.
But
that team's never going to be settled.
Listen,
the market is going to be distorted.
They're clearly buying for the summer because they're going to need to clear out. They have 3 teams. Yeah?
They've signed 3 teams alone this window.
Our full squad. We have 2 players in every position. Chelsea currently have 3 players in every position.
And they're desperate to get rid of them before they have to do their quota. I don't know how that's going for them at the moment now. This is Prince Oko down there in Lagos, Nigeria. Big shout out to you, brother. He says, won't blame Arteta and Edu for not getting the Brighton kid. 80 million for this kid. I know, bro. I know, right? No way. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ludicrous. But no way. But by the way, is he coming on the? Yeah, he's coming. He was coming to play behind the party and develop. They were looking at him because they've got all players in young positions to develop for the future. Party's 29, Xhaka's 30, Jorginho is 31. So they're still going to be looking for those players in the summer. So that's really what it was about. But 80 million to put on the bench, I 100%. Not going to. I 100% agree with you. David Thomas. David says Arsenal are fighting or competing on various levels. Club level, we're competing for big club status. Yeah, and remember, guys, we were supposed to be trying to go for top 4 this season, but we're ahead of our development, just like we was the season before. We were trying to get back into Europe. We were fighting for the top 4, and this season trying to get top 4. Now we're fighting for the championship. So, and all that shows that where the squad level is. The squad level is sort of in a situation for you're outperforming your goals, if that makes sense. Yeah, if you understand the business world and you know what I mean. Bertrand saying, given where we are, how can any Arsenal fan challenge our progress? I just said that, yeah. And the projection of future, and that's exactly what I was saying. When you consider, what we all predict, and I've got all of our predictions on our list there. Nobody predicted that we would be here. Half the season gone. 5 points.
I want to know how close I was, by the way, if we may. Maybe if you can pull it up. Yeah, I'm quite sure that I was quite bullish in winning most of the games. Maybe not as bullish as we have been with 50 points, but I'm sure I was around like 42, 43, 44, or somewhere around there. I'm curious to go back because I remember when we were going through that, and I was just saying like win, win, win. Everybody's looking at me like, what the hell is going on here?
Let me just see if I.
We know that Ebony and your other friend Tom, they always go for wins. I mean, it doesn't matter what state Arsenal is in; they just predict wins every game.
Let me just have a quick look at that while I've got the window open. So this was our predictions, guys. After 10 games, it turned out, and I believe we did this. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, after 10 games, I believe we're league position. Here it is. Final league position is down here. I went for 4. Neomis went for 5th. Danny said 3rd. Nabil said 4th. Bertram said 3rd. Big shout out to everybody who said 3rd as well. Tony said 4th. The African Guna said 4th. Ebony said 4th, and Ebony's normally 1st, her and Tom. Lewis said 4th, and Vincey and Tom both said 3rd. So Danny, Bertram, Vincey, and Tom all said that this team was going to finish higher than 4th. So it's a massive, massive shout out for you guys.
But look at how many points they predicted. I mean, look, Vincey said 20 points after 10 games. I mean, that's not a 3rd place finish, but yeah. I mean, we all were quite positive. I mean, I predicted wins for every single game apart from the Spurs and Liverpool game, and that's pretty much close to it. We lost against United, but we beat Spurs and we beat Liverpool.
I mean, that's absolutely criminal there, man. That's absolutely criminal. But look, nobody thought that this was going to happen. This isn't a lightning in the bottle. And again, when we talked about Jorginho and in his interview, which you can see on Arsenal's website, he talked about that drubbing in America, the 4-0. And he said, we saw what they could do and we knew. Yeah, we knew. So yeah, big shout out to you, Bertram. It's really about, and this is the frustration. It's like Arsenal fans, you give them an inch and they want a mile. You always want more, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes reality checks are what's needed. You have to just realize, hold on, guys, look where we are. Look at our journey. And it's all about enjoying the journey. I mean, who's not I'm having the best season of my life. I've been a season ticket holder at the Emirates since that stadium opened in 2007. And this is the best after 16 years. This is the best season that I've ever had at the stadium. It feels amazing. The win we had
long
against
overdue as well.
What's that?
It's long overdue as well.
Yeah, I mean, the United game that me and Lewis went to, it was just unbelievable as an experience. It was so good.
Yeah, last minute winner against United. Come on, in a title race, you can't ask for anything better than that, right?
Yeah. DL says just another extremely slow Chelsea reject who was third in the Ballon d'Or. Bro, come on, man. And 22 years ago, they were worrying about getting ripped off. Bertram says, Tony, and I like how he spells it in James Tony, because we know Pugilist boy over there does his thing. That's exactly what we were willing to pay for the fee asked for Caicedo and a significant amount for Mudryk. I don't think there was anything wrong with our bids for any of those players. Bertrand goes on to say, how do we know Arteta wants Bellingham? He doesn't. That's Liverpool. According to every person in the league and every analyst and every agent and everybody and every Liverpool fan, apparently he's a Liverpool player in the summer. But let's see what Chelsea.
That's because Liverpool are struggling. That's because Liverpool have got no one in their midfield. That's why.
Andrew, what time you call this, man? I ain't even got my watch on me at the moment. Big shout out to you, Andrew. Bertrand says Chelsea has done a good job of exploiting a loophole which will close in the summer. It may be worth. Yeah, I think they're going to really hit heavy on that, but we have to wait and see what happens because apparently the law hasn't been passed yet. They're looking at meeting next on the 13th of February, and then they're going to put their foot down. And I think what it is they don't want to make sure it's airtight. That they want to make sure.
Incidentally, the Hakim Ziyech deal seems to have hit some kind of snag.
Yeah, Chelsea sent the wrong documents 3 times. I'm just reading it now.
And remember, guys, I just want to reiterate that Chelsea have 34 players. You can only submit 25. Yeah? So the whole point is, I think, when is the loan? I think the loan's finished too, isn't it? I think the loan amount is finished. So from what I'm aware, they can only talk to 3 leagues now, which transfer windows finish tomorrow and the day after, because it counts for leagues in a different some leagues in a different way. So Chelsea are going to be struggling. You're still going to have to pay those players, which is going to be a danger to the financial fair play. If the FA come after them, I'd love to see it happen. Andrew says Lokonga to Crystal Palace is a great loan deal. That's what I said. The rest of the guys here, I didn't think they agreed with me. Vieira will be a brilliant shooter, 100%. And
I think it's a good deal. I think he needs games, but also I think if we do cop a big injury list, we've lost a player unless we can recall him.
Yeah, Footbee says that Jorginho should be playing ahead of Partey. And Xhaka, well, remember, Xhaka's not in the 6 in this team. He plays as an 8. Look, I talked about Thomas Partey before. I think he's in the range of Rodri and Casemiro. Those are the 3 elite players, not just in the Premier League, but maybe in Europe. And I think with Thomas Partey, getting someone like Jorginho in is going to benefit us a great deal. And we will see, guys. We will see. Bertram says, how many of these players are British? They don't have to have 8 players. That's a good point, Bertram. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
The homegrown rule, in it, 21 have to be in the country for 5 years before 21,
that's why they didn't get rid of Gallagher.
Yeah, agreed. So look, yeah, I went with C plus, and I think we've. Was there anybody that didn't give a grade? I think everybody gave a grade. Everyone in the chat as well gave a
Apart
grade.
from me.
Yep. Andrew saying, did Camelot
I
get his
didn't,
loan
but
out of Man
that's
City?
cool.
I'm not sure. Does anybody know the answer to that? Did Camelot get his loan out of Man City?
That's Cancelo. Yes.
Cancelo. Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
did. Yeah. He went.
Yeah,
went.
that's
Yeah,
a
he's
done
gone,
deal.
Yeah. So, guys, that's it really. Transfer window covered. Is anybody else want to bring up anything that they want to talk about now at the moment? Now we're in February. I'm expecting good news. I mean, I've talked to a couple of guys. Colin said that he's doing light running at the moment now, but he did that last week. So Jesus, I'm expecting him to come back in the next 3 weeks. They're not saying anything because they want to be tight. They don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, and I get that because in business I don't do that in business. I always try and be as real as possible. But I just understanding the nature of the beat. I've seen these injuries in the NFL every single year. It's not common in the Premier League, but I've seen them in the NFL every year. And some of these guys are super, super fit and have come back well before their injury dates. And according to what I've been told at the training ground with Jesus, he's a workout monster. And so I'm expecting him to be fit. But sorry, be injury free, but not match fit. So it may well be that we don't see him until the beginning of March. But look, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Either way, I think with Trossard and Eddie up front, I think you take your time. You take your time. He's your prized asset. He's going to be the guy that runs the fourth leg of the relay for you and take you over the finishing line. So you don't rush that. I think you need to take your time.
100%.
Yeah, let African Guna.
Yeah, I agree.
Andrew says he's got the 49ers didn't make the Super Bowl. Bro, you were down. They were down to their. They were down to their fourth quarterback. I know Joe Johnson. He played for the Redskins. The guy picked really astute guy picked up off the street. Come on, man, that was asking for too much against the Eagles. When you're literally picking quarterbacks off the street to get you to the Super Bowl, yeah, it was just not going to be. I think Eagles going to win that one pretty easily. I think it's going to be of a score of around probably 30-17 to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Gary's got that.
It's almost
Gary's
3 a.m. for me, so I'm gonna have to go to bed.
Yeah, that's okay, man. Gary's got that South Africa internet connection right there, man.
Terrible, man. Terrible. We have no
where I live, I couldn't even get internet here. I got my son pedaling a bike to power it.
Oh man! Listen, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. I hope you hit a like on the video, Tony.
Yeah, just wanted to say, well done, Spurs. You managed to do what you do. You got rid of Mac Doherty, and now the whole Spurs base is just tearing up the Twitter line to say, "What the hell have our club done?"
Oh, that's
Really?
so Spursy. Yeah,
I've seen a
Spurs
lot
is
of people happy with
Yeah.
him. He wasn't that good for
What the
them.
hell have they done? I mean, they now
signed the
have
other
loaned
guy.
out
They
Dickens
signed the
Spence.
Poro. They signed that Poro guy.
Oh my
Yeah, they
God.
signed Pedro Porro. But has Matt Doherty gone to Atletico Madrid? What the hell?
Yeah.
How has that even come about?
Nah, they just
Well-
chucked him out wherever they could.
Kieran Trippier. I mean, the thing is, Kieran Trippier went there and came back a better
Yeah.
player. I said to
I got
Andy,
a quick
that's exactly.
I got a quick question. Does anyone here or in the chat listen to the Fozcast? You know, Ben Foster?
Yeah.
They done their Premier League. They've done their Premier League team of the season so far. How many Arsenal players do you think got in it?
4.
3.
What you're saying
4.
4? You're saying 3, Tony? No,
4.
2.
2.
2.
And who do you think they were? Who do you think they were?
Saka.
And has
No.
to be
Partey.
Partey.
Odegaard.
No.
Saliba maybe.
Odegaard, yes.
Ben White,
Odegaard, yes. Saka, no. Partey, no.
Martinelli.
Wow.
And Xhaka. No, Xhaka.
Xhaka. I knew it. Of course.
Xhaka and Odegaard.
Terrible
How does
rating,
Xhaka
terrible.
get in there? Partey's
I
been
think
the best.
off the top of my head, they went for Pope in goal, Trippier, Luke Shaw,
Oh my
Varane.
God, Luke Shaw, I can't believe that one.
Varane, and who was the other centre back? I can't remember the other centre back. Who was just the DM?
So you've
Rodri.
just
I thought
given
it
me
was
an
Partey.
idea. You've just given me an idea for the Premier League show on Friday. I think
Yeah,
we need to do our first 11.
Yeah, it was. And
Tony's laughing because he knows that's going to be a real shit show. Because the last time I had to put the rulings that we couldn't have more than 2 players for every team.
yeah.
And actually, it worked. It worked.
Sorry,
well, 'cause
listen to the podcast.
we had a well balanced first 11 there.
I think there was 4 Newcastle players, 3 Man United players, 2 Arsenal players. Up front, he went for Harry Kane.
Wow.
Harry Kane.
How does King get in ahead of Haaland?
Harry Kane, Haaland, and what's the guy from Fulham? Mitrovic. That was his front 3.
He ain't scored in the last 10 games.
That was his front 3. That was his front 3. Harry Kane, Haaland, and Mitrovic.
Mitrovic hasn't scored. Actually, I think it's the last 9 games, and he missed the penalty, double hit it against Newcastle.
Unlucky.
This is
And I was
foolishness,
listening to it,
man.
and I think he's got to pick Ben White. He's got to pick Ben White. Went for Trippier. You know, Zinchenko. No, they was talking about Dan Burn as left back. Come on, man, Dan Burn, please. You're not even talking football now.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal are top of the league, guys.
Yeah.
Top of the. Did they have a manager?
The manager was between say Don Howe, not Don Howe, Eddie Howe, and Arteta. And in the end, they give it to Arteta.
Oh, well, there is that. David Thomas says, given what you say about the vibe at the club, the indifference among the fan base over the Jorginho signing, will the fans welcome him and cheer him on? I think they will, because there was I mean, I remember this happening with William Gallas, and William Gallas was beating guys up in the locker room and he didn't take any shit. I remember, and I don't want to mention any names, where he was holding a player up against the wall because they weren't doing what Wenger was telling them to do. They was doing the same mistakes over and over and over again. And it made me wonder when I was listening to an interview with Carlo Ancelotti, and he was talking about the rise of when he's at Real Madrid of Odegaard, and he was saying that Odegaard just doesn't make mistakes. You know, he just doesn't make mistakes. And then last week I was listening to an interview with Arteta, and Arteta was talking about Eddie Nketiah, and he said, "You want to see Eddie Nketiah in training? It's like when you walk over to Eddie and say to him, 'No, don't do it this way, do it that way.' You never have to tell him twice. Like once you tell Nketiah to do something one way, it's on the menu. He does it every single time." He goes, I've really ever taught or trained anybody like that, where I've just not had to go back a second time and talk about something which we've already talked before. He goes, you tell Eddie something and it's on the menu, bang, he starts doing it. And he goes, he's such a joy to coach. And I love to hear stories like that, because quite frankly, I've never heard Arteta say that about anybody at Arsenal. Sheriff says, please, did Arsenal sign a Brighton midfield? No, they didn't. They didn't find Casido. They didn't sign him. So that's not going to happen. And you have to respect Brighton's stance. Me and Gary talked about it. Teams just don't need money anymore. You're not going to bully them out of. And I think in this situation, actually, it's quite wrong. I think they did the wrong thing, because Casido's not a proven star. He's somebody who's worth well lower than what Arsenal offered. And quite frankly, I would have bitten their hand off for it. But it does make you think, guys, that Chelsea's distortion of this wonderful game that we love is going to come back. The chickens are going to come home to roost in the summer, and we're going to see some awful evaluations, which are nowhere near what players are worth. But that's the game. And what this does, the disparity of the complaints we have in Italy, La Liga, all these leagues saying Premier League has got too much money, it's just going to get worse. And every good player, young player that is across the globe ain't going to be going to Italy, ain't going to be going, look at what's happened to the dream of everybody who wants to play for Barcelona, Rafinha, all them guys. Look at all of the dream. they've gone there and died. Yeah, look at what happened to Vlahovic. I love Juventus. Juventus is in my blood. He's gone there, and not only have they died, because their form was awful before the points deduction, and they've been deducted 15 points.
You can't knock Barcelona. They're top of their league.
Yeah, they're top of their
top.
league, but I mean,
but didn't they get told to cut their wage bill by 150 million to 200 million the other day?
that's why they're not buying anybody at the moment. But and Rafinha, how much has he played? It's just been a nightmare.
He's playing, bro.
He's playing now.
Yeah, don't think he's not playing. He's playing.
Yeah, because before this transfer window in December, they said he only started 2 games. So obviously it must have changed now. But listen, but my point is, guys, is that there's going to be a shitstorm coming in the summer, and I can't wait to see it, because you know, some of these fans that sort of are pushing Arsenal to do all this stuff. Arsenal ain't that team. Arsenal's going to come to you with market value, and what they've shown me over the last month is that they're willing to go over market value. I was like, how are these guys putting? So when the African Guna put up on Twitter that we were coming in for Caicedo for 75 million, I was like, are we nuts? The guy's not worth that. But all it did was I kind of smiled at the little devil Apollo on the right shoulder and the little angel Apollo on the left shoulder was kind of grinning, because I was thinking, Arsenal are willing to do that? I didn't know they had that in their back pocket. So yeah, it gives me a bit of hope for the future. And David says we need to make a big statement signing as part of our evolution. Well, I know that they talked about the Pepe deal, and that was a statement of intent. When Josh Kroenke turned around and took over, he said, we're going to show you something. And they did. They went out and spent 72 million on a player. And that was more of a statement of intent. That was to show us they were serious. But what it also showed us is that you need to make sure you know who you're buying, whether he will fit your system, yada, 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 yada. And so at the moment now, since then, David, we've proved that the Liverpool way actually does work, because, as I said, Mane, Salah, and Firmino was the cost of Lukaku, 90 million for what Chelsea paid, and Liverpool ended up winning Champions League and league title. Arsenal, 30 million on Tierney, 30 million on Zinchenko, 30 million on Odegaard, 30 million on Saliba. You know, you can see where that kind of growth is. You know, 8 million on Martinelli, 30 million on Ramsdale. So it works, David. It works. If you go out there, scout the right players that will add excellence to your team, you don't need to go there and spend foolish money just to prove a point. You don't. If
the Arsenal falls out of it tomorrow, Chelsea are in big trouble, aren't they? You know.
Yeah, Andrew said what's the latest on the injury list. Reece Nelson is back in training tomorrow from the hamstring injury, so he light running. We talked to him last week, me and Lewis. The El Nene situation is bad. He's probably going to miss the season, and
fingers crossed time.
Yeah, and the timeline for Jesus is still March, but I think it's going to be before that.
I think it's important not to rush him back, though. Like you said, we've got to give him the time to be fully fit, because we're going to need him.
You know, a lot of teams think that Arsenal, you know, Chelsea talk about, injuries, Liverpool injuries. We've had injuries too, you know, guys. We had Partey out for 3 games. We had Zinchenko out for a couple of months. We had Smith Rowe. Yeah, Smith Rowe 4 months. Yeah, Jesus.
Nelson, Tomiyasu was out for a bit as well.
Exactly. So don't let any of the other guys tell you that we ain't got injuries. Don't listen to their tears. Yeah.
We just don't moan about it.
Exactly.
No, our team has just been strong enough that we haven't had noticed so much.
I was saying to Tony during the Man City game that I read a stat. Arsenal have made the fewest changes in the league this season. How many changes do you think we've made? I don't know if you've read the stat.
No.
How many changes do you think
2 or 3
we've made?
games in the Premier League where we had to change our starting 11.
Yeah. How many changes overall do you think we've made?
Oh, you mean just overall?
In the whole
6.
league season so far. No.
6 or 7.
No.
Less.
No.
3.
More. 14.
More. 14.
14.
Okay.
14 it was, yeah. Over the whole league season so far, we've made 14 changes to our starting 11, which shows the consistency of what we've been doing and how the players have been playing. Hence why we are sitting top of the league.
No, I'm really proud of
We've had
them,
a quite
guys.
consistent team.
I've never.
I was just
So-
gonna say that we
Go on.
go ahead, go for the Polo.
No, I was just going to say I'd never in a million years believed that we'd be sitting in the position where we are now. I'm enjoying every minute, every day, every week. I'm loving it.
And
Yeah,
last
I don't
season,
think in any Arsenal fan's wildest dream they saw this happening.
We're going to
No,
African
no.
Guna.
no, Gary, definitely no. We definitely didn't. I mean, I've been dreaming for this day for a long time. I just never thought it was gonna come like now. Just it feels like it was still a few years away. But no, my point was, in the last 2 seasons, we've complained about not having a consistent team. You know, the chemistry was off. We weren't creating chances, and that's because we had to chop and change a lot of our team, either because they weren't good enough for the system or injuries, etc. And this season, as you said, Gary, only 14 changes. I mean, we've had quite a solid starting 11. So I think that has also made quite a big difference in terms of the results.
Well, I mean, everyone was worried about Ben White at right back, weren't they? And then over Tommy Asu,
wasn't.
you think Tommy Asu was going to be like, the first choice right back? Ben White,
Yeah.
Tommy Asu injured after the World Cup. Ben White gets his chance, hasn't looked back.
Yeah, I mean,
I
Ben
thought-
White was never a liability. My concern
Yeah,
wasn't
exactly.
Ben White at right back; it was Xhaka at 8. That was my biggest concern.
Agree. And in terms of the Ben White, he's such a good all-round player. I was always confident he would do a good job. I just didn't think he was going to be that good where he would displace Tomiyasu, because Tomiyasu was super solid for us last season. I mean, the aerial duels that he wins brings a lot to our team, especially when you're seeing how we set up and, we basically suffocate the opposition to just clear the ball out, and then we win the ball, either from an aerial duel, or we just get uncontested because of the positioning we have on the field, right? And then we just recycle and we come again. So yeah, I agree with Apollo. I think Xhaka and Nketiah were like the 2 major question marks for me this season, and they both have passed with flying
See, I
colors.
wasn't really worried about Nketiah, to be honest. I've
I
always
was-
thought that kid. I've always thought that geezer would score goals given the chance.
Gary, you're my guy. Gary, you're my guy.
I always
Um,
thought it. I've always thought it about this guy. And since
I've been-
just give him the
I've been
chances, give him a run in the team. Because when you see players and they're only getting 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 6 minutes here, you're not seeing that true player. And last season, when he come on against Chelsea, because listen, Lacazette couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo, could he? he was useless.
Awful.
And all the chances that he missed, had Eddie got his chance a couple of games earlier, we may have been clear of top 4 before we fell apart.
That's what I said to these lot. Shout
and
out to
he
David
proved his
Thomas
worth.
as well, because David Thomas as well also talked about Nketiah. Big shout out to him as well. A few guys did. Hanumi says this is a golden opportunity for Reece Nelson to get his Arsenal career back on track and maybe get himself.
He's the next one.
He is the next
He's
one.
the next one. He's the next one.
Yeah.
I've always had
He's the
faith in
next
this guy, I swear.
Yeah. I'm coming for you lot. I'm coming for you lot when it comes to Reece, man. Hey, listen,
The
I told him.
positivity can only go so far in changing a
Listen.
player, transforming a player.
I
No,
told
no,
him,
no.
man,
He was
listen,
not that
when-
great, and all of a sudden
listen,
he's
when-
become
when-
very good.
when me and Lewis was talking to him about our podcast, right? Because Reece Nelson said, "All right, I'm going to subscribe to you lot." When I told him about our podcast, I said, "There's a few of us on the podcast that don't believe in you, bro." But I said, "I'm in Eddie's corner. I've always been in your corner, and I'm just waiting for you to shine, man. I'm just waiting
Look,
for you to shine."
Reece is a good player, man, but he's the same thing as I said about Joe Willock, man.
Yeah.
He's a Stoke City player. He's like a mid Premier League.
No.
Yes, he's a
Strike him from the channel, Apollo. Strike the African
Hey,
Gouda from the
listen,
channel.
Listen,
Strike him from the channel.
I just want to say,
player. He's not
I
a
just
top
want to
four
say one
player.
thing, which Tony has talked about, because as you guys know, I live in Bournemouth, Elstree. That's where the under-21s play. And when I went to the games, Reece Nelson was the big thing. He was the next big thing to come out of the academy. And then Saka jumped ahead of him. Smith Rowe was at Huddersfield at the time, and he got his ropes. And everybody started surpassing Reece Nelson. And it was just like, hold on, what's going on here? Am I seeing another Jeremy Adelaide? Is it? Yeah. Am I seeing?
Jeff Rennie Adelaide.
Yeah, Jeff Rennie Adelaide. Am I seeing another one of those? And it was like the same thing. And I'm just happy to see him get his chance now. I really am.
because
And
going
What
back to
Trent
pre-season.
talking about? He's not even gonna play,
No.
man. We signed Trossard.
Going back to
Smith Rowe is
pre-season,
back.
I saw something different in Reece Nelson.
it's on the
This
right
this
side.
season.
Right side.
I saw something different in Reece Nelson this pre-season, and when he was at Feyenoord, he's even said that he was having conversations with Robin van Persie, and
Yeah.
Van Persie was advising him on certain things, and he's taken a lot on board. And I saw a different guy come out this season in pre-season for Arsenal.
He just needs
You
a
have-
chance. That's all. Just like Eddie. I kept saying to you about
Yeah,
Eddie.
but
He
guys,
just
he's
needs
had
a
a
chance.
chance. He's been unlucky because he's been injured. But now that we have so many options, it's not that
He's
I
got
have
the same.
against him. I just don't see where he gets the minutes. Guys, let's be honest. Let's be real. Where does he get the minutes? There's Fabio
Well, he does,
Vieira.
as a backup to Saka, isn't he? He's the one that we
No,
need
but
to take
I
the
just
pressure off
gave
of Saka.
you Vieira
Yeah,
and Vieira
No,
and Smith Rowe. I mean,
no,
those-
Vieira's not going to do anything.
Yeah, he's
Vieira's
the
not gonna
backup to
do
Saka.
I'd
anything.
rather give Vieira a chance than Nelson a chance because I've seen Nelson play way
Yeah.
more than I've seen Vieira. But that's just
Nelson's got the same personal
Yeah.
trainer as Eddie.
Nelson
the same
came on,
personal
scored
trainer.
2 goals and 1 assist in
That doesn't
relief
mean
of Saka.
anything.
It
You can have
doesn't
the
mean
same
It means
everything.
we won the game.
It means
It means
everything.
we won the
Yeah.
game 5-0. That's what it means.
Everything. So, guys, listen, guys, closing comments. Closing comments. I just cannot wait for football to come back now.
Yeah,
Um,
no, Thomas Partey is going to be back for the game. He's been past fit, so that's
Yeah.
great news
We're
for
going
us.
Everton and Sean Dyche.
I don't think they're gonna have I don't think there's gonna be any manager bounce. I don't care what anybody says. We're just way too strong. We're just way too strong for some stupid like hoax like a manager bounce to stop us. There's no stopping us. At least
They
not
got no
against
strikers. They can't score goals.
I'm seeing 4-0. I'm seeing a 4-0 because we drew against City. Arteta's gonna want to send a message, and we'll put the big guns 4-0. Then bring on Jorginho in the second half. Bring on Trossard in the second half to flex, and that's it.
Tony,
I think Trossard starts.
He might. I wouldn't be unhappy with that.
interesting. Tony, we went up there and lost 1-0 in what some were saying was the worst game of last season.
It was an abomination of a game, but yeah.
I missed that game. You know, I missed that stream, right? I was out. I was at the theater with my wife seeing Pretty Woman. I was reading the texts while the theater was on, and I could not believe my eyes. 1-0 away to Goodison. Whoever thought that? Terrible. Looking forward to it though, Tony.
I'm just, as I said, I've got to pray that we have a injury-free January because
January's gone.
I'm
It's
sorry.
February tomorrow.
it's February today, kind of almost. Yeah, it is because we're now actually in Wednesday. So 3 minutes past the hour of midnight makes it Wednesday. But yeah, I just hope we can get through February. You know, it's going to be tough, bro, because, you know, we got European football coming back. I'm glad we're out the FA Cup. You know, it just means that we don't have to push certain players beyond certain games that, you know, we don't need to.
African Good has gone for 4-0. Tony, what's going to be the score?
3-1.
I think it's going to be 3-0. I think we're going to terrorize them. I think people are forgetting that Smith
I think
Rowe.
they get a lucky goal somehow. I don't know why.
Yeah,
People are forgetting that Smith Rowe was before Saka came into the fore. He was our leading goal scorer last season. He had 10 goals in the first half of the season, and if you consider that now, he would be our leading goal scorer this season if he played. Nketiah obviously has only started since December, and he's already got 9 goals. I think we're going to go and terrorize them. I think they're going to struggle to handle our movement. I think Dice is going to set them up to park the bus, and that's just going to be a recipe for disaster for them. Gary?
I'm going to go 4-1.
Excellent, excellent.
I think they get a lucky goal somewhere along the line, some set piece where they keep heading it back into the box 50 times.
They can't score goals. I mean, they're playing at home, so the crowd are going to be up for it. But sorry, this Arsenal team is a different beast. Every team has realised that. We've got 7 clean sheets in 10 away games. That is bonkers. Forget the home form. Forget the home form. Our away record is ridiculous. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for joining us, everybody. It's after midnight now in the UK, and it's well late. What's the time there in South Africa, Lev Kanguna?
2:00 in the morning.
God damn, that's NFL time for me, man. That's NBA time for me. But thanks for staying up and getting us over the line with the transfer deadline. And thanks to all of you guys in the chat. Much appreciated. Much love as always, guys. David says he's going for 1-0. It's got 1-0 all over it. Amari Hutchinson left Chelsea for West Brom.
Yeah.
He's only been gone 6 months. That's
What, is that a loan? Is that a loan or
It-
permanent? That's a
It's
loan.
a
Isn't it?
Loan, but it didn't get through. Something messed up. It didn't happen.
Yeah, because
Oh.
Amari Hutchinson's not the guy.
All right, guys, listen, that's it from us. We're out, guys, and we'll get back to you. I'll have another follow-up video in the week, and then we've got Friday Premier League show where we'll talk about the transfer window. We'll do the first 11, and then it's football again on the weekend, man. Peace out, everybody. Nice one. Right back at you.
Good night. Good morning.